Well, if we're ready, let's kick it off.
Let's do it.
So happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
2026.
Welcome to the January 2026 edition of DOD Dialogues. Well, we hope you liked episode 1. If you're not sure where to find it, just search on your podcast app of choice. We know that it's on Apple Podcasts and YouTube and Spotify. So go search for that, DOD Dialogues. We got some pretty cool feedback from our members and from some people outside of the DOD community. Super happy that it seems to resonate with people. And if you didn't get a chance to watch or listen to it, check it out and let us know what you think.
Just love that people are learning things. That I think we got a lot of really great questions after the first one because people kind of saw how it flowed.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we want, is to be helping our community with things they're struggling with, questions they have. That's exactly what we wanted, guys. So keep that coming for sure.
Yeah, sparked some conversations as well inside the gym, which are great.
Yeah.
And let's keep those going. So let's start like we started last time.
All right, do it. I love this question.
How was your fitness today?
Let's do it. All right, today we did our New Year's kind of workout, and it was a 2-part AMRAP. I jumped into the 9 a.m. class, did it with my husband, partner style. It had some running, some sandbag carries, some rope climbs, and other things. But all 3 of those things are really big victories for me coming back from having baby Shiloh. And I was really hoping I could start running in the new year. And we did it. Ran a little over a mile today in like 400-meter chunks, sort of kept around an 8-minute mile pace, which is big for me, especially coming back. I'm not a runner. So, man, that was a win. And I just love getting to work out with Lance whenever he's going to make fun of me for saying that.
The barbershop.
Yeah, the barbershop. But if I could do a partner workout with him every day, I totally would. So
that's awesome.
What about you, Jim?
That's awesome. Yeah, I was able to take your class, and you coached me through the class, and I know you said that Coach David coached you through the class and coached an awesome class today. So shout out to Coach David.
Coach David, you're on fire today. Yeah.
But you did a great job as well. Big class today. I got to partner with Juju, and he's fit,
a machine.
fit.
Dude.
And had a good time. Yeah. He chose a slightly heavier sandbag than I did, as you might expect.
Yeah.
But that was fun. That was really fun. It was a beautiful sunny day.
Yeah.
It was crisp outside, but it wasn't like totally freezing. But it was a nice day, and really, fitness was achieved. So it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that workout. And that was ours, right?
Yeah.
We programmed that. You programmed that.
Exactly.
That wasn't programmed.
We got some new fun toys at the gym. You guys might see them around. We got our sandbags. And so many more sandbags, so we can start using those in class structure more. And so I wanted to show the members, hey, we got this new toy. Here's how to use it safely. Yeah. Here's how it might flow in a workout, whether that's partner style, individual, whatever. We're going to see a lot more of that coming up soon.
Yeah, I thought today was a great introduction to the sandbag. So well done. Nice programming. Good variance there. Jim. It was really, really good. We wanted to maybe cover just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. I think you want to sort of talk about the gift certificate.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a reminder, we have our gift certificate for the 4 personal training sessions. Those are on-ramp sessions to get someone started in CrossFit. Think about a friend, a family member who has really been wanting to prioritize their health, get back in shape, and they need a good community and some good coaches to do it. You can purchase this gift certificate for them for just $100. That's $25 for an hour of personal training. 4 times through. That's amazing. And then it prepares them to get started on a CrossFit journey, which I think most of our members know is completely life-changing, right? And so if you want to get one of these, you still can. We're just asking that people sign up for those on-ramp sessions and put this to use before the end of February.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And we had someone in here today who was starting on that journey.
Yeah,
That's
she's
awesome.
actually on her 3rd on-ramp from this already.
Awesome.
We have a lot of spouses coming in off this, which is amazing. We had another one sign up today. He'll start this week. So exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's just a little nudge, right?
Yeah.
It's something you've been talking about maybe with a friend or
Exactly.
family member, and that nudge helps get them started.
We had a member sign up his brother or, purchase it for his brother. I love
great.
that. Yeah.
That's great.
And we had a member purchase one to give away, which we have now fulfilled,
cool.
which is she is so grateful, and I'm so excited to get her in here. And she's just so excited. Mom, busy, and finances were a little bit of a hurdle, and our membership stepped up in a big way this holiday season. And man, that's who we are, I think, as a gym.
Awesome.
That's our community. And so gotta shout that out. That was incredible.
Awesome. Some
Yeah.
generosity during the holiday
Yes.
season. That's great.
Yeah,
That's
when we
great.
say we're a community, we mean it. That's awesome.
That's great. All right, so we had a topic. I know we've collected a lot of questions throughout the last couple of weeks. We have a lot of cool Ask Me Anything questions that we're going to get to.
Yes.
But you and I had a topic that we talked about that we wanted to make sure that we covered.
Yeah.
Because it's that time of year, right? So we want to talk about the CrossFit Open. We want
Let's
to talk about the
go.
CrossFit Open. Okay, so what is the CrossFit Open? Maybe for some of our newer members or folks that haven't participated in that, and why should you sign up? Yada yada yada. We'll get into that, but maybe I'll start off and just cover the basics, like what is it,
Love it.
and then we can get into some of the other stuff. So, the games is the start of
The Open.
The Open is the start of the CrossFit Games season, right? The competitive side of CrossFit, the sport of CrossFit, if you will. The Open is how you qualify for the games. So you think about the biggest names in the CrossFit Games.
still have to do that.
They qualify by starting in the CrossFit Open. Everyone does. It's open to anyone. It's 3 weeks long. It costs $20. That $20 goes directly to CrossFit. You sign up on CrossFit.com, and we'll have tons of instructions on how to do that. But literally everyone who wants to qualify for the games, individuals, teams, masters athletes, teens, adaptive athletes, they all go through the Open.
Worldwide.
Yep. And so the Open is the first stage, followed by quarterfinals, which are back, right?
Yeah.
Quarterfinals are back.
Top 25%.
Yeah. Top
Finishers.
25% in your division, you will qualify for the quarterfinals, and then semifinals after that, and then the pinnacle, which is the CrossFit Games. Now, we know, like most of us, raise your hand, are not going to the games, right? And we're not even trying to go to the games. That's not why we do the CrossFit Open,
Correct.
right? So why don't you maybe get us started on why? Why should you think about doing the CrossFit Open?
Yeah. So one thing I think resonates with a lot of people, one thing I'm really passionate about is a sort of throwback to our competitive days as an athlete, right? Many of our members, whether it was 30 years ago or 5 years ago or whatever, did some sort of competitive athletics and loved that, right? I'm talking about, for me, right, that was collegiate athletics, professional athletics. I'm super fortunate to have that as my background. And the Open and quarterfinals have given me, and other competitions have been able to give me that sort of high again of stepping up to a starting line, 3, 2, 1, go. And I am laying everything down on the line for this workout, right? It feels like, I tell people, like I'm stepping in a batter's box again, which now I'm a 35-year-old mom of 3. There's no other place I can really get that feeling, especially when we have our Friday Night Lights event here. So we have a DJ, and we have, everyone brings their families, and we set up spectator seating on purpose, heats and judges. And so I love that feeling. But even, and I'm very passionate about this, right? Even if you just played rec league, soccer, right? And as a kid, you used to love going out there and playing, and your parents were cheering you on, and you were right next to your teammate, and there was a winner and a loser and all these things, right? I think as parents and as adults, we are like, oh yeah, that's great for kids, right? I think that's so great for adults. I think it's great to challenge yourself to something like that, to really kind of put yourself out there and say, no, I want to do, it's not just an average class workout. Like, this is something I want to do my very best at. And I think we don't give ourselves enough opportunities for that as adults. So the Open in-house, regardless of whether you go on to the next level or not, is an awesome opportunity to do that. And I say, invite your family, invite your friends to come watch you do something that pushes you outside of that comfort zone, scares you a little bit, challenges you a little bit. And even that's when we get big wins, like first pull-ups ever, right? First double unders, because that moment you rise to that occasion and you learn you're capable of so much more than you ever thought. And it's freaking fun. And so I get a little worked up when I'm talking about that, because I think more adults need that in their life. And I love that the Open gives us an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, it's the magic of the Open, right?
Yes.
So they call it when people get their first pull up, their first muscle up, right? It's the magic of the Open.
Yeah.
It's that extra push.
But there's also kind of another side of that, Jim, and I know that's what you're going to talk to us about. So
yeah, there is. But before I do that, I just want to say the spectator side of it. You know, I know you talk about the push you get from having people watch you, bring your family. But there's the side of it that I really enjoy. Like, I enjoy watching athletes like you. So I love coming to the Open just to watch people push themselves who, you know, you can sort of see that fire in them, that they used to be very competitive. They used to be involved in something, very high level athletics. And even for somebody like me who never was, just to watch that as a fan, you know, like a sports fan, just watching somebody who clearly has a fire in their belly and wants it. Whether that person is a teenager, a master's athlete, or an individual competitor, just watching that spark in someone is so cool. And you can do that in the four walls here on a Friday night, you know, after you work out, before you work out, whatever. But that spectating for me is a lot of the reason why I love Friday Night Lights, is just to be able to watch people push themselves.
And to that point, I've cried multiple occasions watching people do the Open, and it's a little different than what you're talking about. For me, it's the person who never believed that they could, the person that maybe has had conversations with me before, like, I don't think I can do CrossFit. I don't think I can do this. And I watch them, their family there cheering them on, and they're doing this incredible thing that they never thought they were capable of. It just, then the waterworks happen, and I lose my voice every year because it's just so amazing.
When you watch someone discover that they're way more capable than they thought they were, that's just like a really cool moment. Yeah. It's really cool.
So empowering for everyone, spectator and athlete. And
Now, I guess the thing you were trying to lead me into, and I stomped all over it, was this idea that, it's really like an annual checkup for me. That's a big part of my why I keep signing up for the Open. I keep doing the Open. I think this will be my 11th. I think I'm starting to lose count now. It's too many. I think this will be my 11th Open. And it's this annual checkup. It's this, you know, like getting your blood work done, like getting an annual physical, maybe a little bit different way. But it's have I tackled the weaknesses that I encountered last year during the Open, the 2025 Open. You know, my double unders were trash. You know, I had trouble with the 135 pound cleans, blah, blah, blah. You know, have I gotten better at those things? Yes, no, maybe so. Is my engine better, or has it gotten worse? Have I focused too much on X and not enough on Y? That's really what the Open is for me. It's a check-in. And I try really hard not to let the leaderboard be the only measure of that. But for some people, that's the only way. Like, okay, I was, you know, 4,364 out of 15,000 people in my age division this year. And last year I was 5,000th, you know, so I did better. Hooray. That's one way to measure it. For me, it's how did the workouts feel? Was I able to hit more advanced gymnastics movements
Yes.
at the end of the workout when you're exhausted.
Yeah.
How did the barbell feel? Those are things that I know for
And
me.
I would argue a better barometer because the tests vary so widely year to year.
Yeah.
So really those percentiles can sometimes be a little difficult
Yeah.
or not exact, especially if you've been doing this for a long time, right? But how we were able to tackle the workouts and execute a plan and those sort of things really are a good gauge.
Yeah. They
And then it's like, what are things that matter to you? Like the weightlifting stuff has mattered a lot to you recently, right?
Yeah.
But if you haven't worked on double unders a lot because they didn't so much matter to you, then maybe that's not a good thing to check in on because we didn't really work hard towards it.
Yeah,
right?
you have to be accepting of this is where I am, right? And not really letting the tests define you.
Yeah.
That's maybe the difference between this and an actual health checkup, right?
Yes.
You're going to have the same blood work done that you had last year. Yeah. The tests do vary, but they're a pretty good indicator of where you are, right? And for those of us that are getting a little older, I'm just trying to flatten that curve.
Yeah.
Like everybody's in a little bit of a decline as they get older. It's just an undeniable fact, right? And I'm just trying to flatten it, right? Make it not as steep as I age. And, I think the CrossFit Open gives me an indicator of how well I'm doing that. Again, you're measured against your peers, the people participating in the same tests, people that are in CrossFit like you are across the world. It's pretty cool. And again, for $20, like it's a pretty good test to run yourself through.
And I love this reminder. I've seen it multiple places, but the people doing the CrossFit Open for the most part are already fitter than the people who aren't doing the Open for the most part, right? Because those people are in here doing CrossFit, all the things. So I think sometimes people get bummed because they're like, I'm only, 30th percentile in my age group, right? But we forget that's 30th percentile of people who do CrossFit often, now are doing the Open, right? That is already far and above all the percentile of people who are sitting on the couch doing nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
What population are you comparing yourself
Exactly.
to? You're
A
30th
fit population.
percentile of a very fit population.
Yeah. Which is so cool to see too.
It's a very helpful reminder, right?
Yeah.
It's not, I walk to the mall, I look around me, and I'm 30th percentile amongst that group.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you're probably 80th per 90th percentile of that group.
Exactly. Yeah. It's important to keep that in mind.
It's a good one.
Any other reasons why? I know you touched on the spectating and some of the community aspects. Any other sort of things that popped to mind on why you should do the Open? Yeah.
So we talk a lot about community at DOD specifically, and we mentioned parts of that as part of the spectator, part that you brought up. But we also, as part of our flow of the Open, split up everyone who signs up for the Open into teams. And each team kind of has like a little captain. We've done coaches as captains lately. And those teams are just responsible for kind of bringing some hype to the Open, right? And so one team each week will bring some food, right, for the Open. We have different themes or whatever. We have different like dress up kind of theme nights. Like I said, people bring their family to watch. We're gonna have Austin and Kiata out here taking some really amazing photos again, like they did last year. So you get to feel real cool professional photos of you working out. So there's some big community builders built into this Open, the way we do it here, Friday Night Lights. And I will say this, you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss out on that. You're going to have so much bad FOMO if you miss out on those pieces. Last year we had over 100 people sign up. We had a lot of kids do it. They can't officially sign up, but we run a kids heat. So everyone doing kids and JV.
That's amazing to watch. Yeah.
Glory did
kids
it.
Heat.
It's crazy. Glory did it when she was 3. She's going into her 3rd CrossFit Open as a 5-year-old,
That's
right?
awesome.
And it's so fun. And I think because of all that, we had over 100 people sign up. I went to a CrossFit meeting in Charlotte with a bunch of affiliate owners, and literally, Dave Castro's sitting there and he's like, how'd you get so many people to sign up? How you were the top, gym in the Charlotte area of open participants. How did you do that? Right. And I said, the community feel. People want to do the open because it feels like this family gathering where everyone's cheering you on. You're literally going to cry because you're so proud of yourself. You feel so supported. It's just special magic. And so I really just want everyone to get to experience that.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that, Dave can see that that's unique,
Yes.
right? Our numbers are unique. I think the feel, just the vibe in here is unique. And I can say, just from my past at other gyms, I've been lucky enough to be at a lot of other gyms that really did Friday Night Lights very well.
Yeah.
And I've seen people get hooked on CrossFit from coming to Friday Night Lights.
Yes.
Like just one Friday Night
I gotta
Lights.
sign up.
They were like CrossFit curious before that. And then they show up to one Friday Night Lights, do the workout, and they're just hooked. And these are people that have been members for 8, 9, 10 years at their gym because Friday Night Lights have just hooked them in.
Yeah.
It's quite an experience if it's done right. And I think we do an amazing job here of creating that family feeling. It's nuts in here for 3, 4, 5 hours on Friday night.
And it's rejuvenating even if you've done CrossFit a long time. It like brings your love of this back to life year after year. Anything you do for long enough might get stale, might get whatever, right? And like this part of the year, I think just kind of lights that fire in you again, which we all need. And so that's super cool.
It's like an annual checkup and a reboot.
Yes.
All at once.
I would agree.
Reboot. That's awesome.
Yes.
All right. Anything more on the open that you think we should call out?
I think that's it. I'll just say if you have specific questions, why should I do the open? Or what if I have this injury or whatever? For all my pregnant, postpartum mamas, if you want to talk about what the open looks like for you, come find a coach. We would love to talk to you about that and help you get signed up. I think signups go live on the 17th of January. It's the 14th or the 17th, somewhere in that range. So we'll be hyping that up once that date comes along.
Yeah, we'll make some announcements. And so speaking of announcements, we wanted to maybe take a little break in the action and talk about some announcements for the month of January for the DOD community. Maybe up first, we talk about a little nutrition challenge we have coming up.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So Coach Jake and I have been working on this, a 2026 nutrition level up. And it's just going to be 3 weeks. Runs through SugarWOD, so exactly how everyone logs their workouts, tracks their workouts now. The nutrition challenge will run through that same platform, be really easy to go to. At the start of the week, so Saturday, Sunday, there will be a video from Coach Jake, just a couple minutes, where people can go watch the video, learn a little bit about a nutrition principle. So the first week is going to be protein themed. So why do we need protein? How much protein should we get? Blah, 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 different things. And then throughout the week will be a little challenge of how we're getting protein in our diet. So I know just off the top of my head, that first week is going to be taking pictures of a fistful of protein.
Easy.
Like we talked about on our last podcast, and posting it to SugarWise. You can post pictures, right? So I don't need to measure, food scale, grant, all that stuff. I don't need to track anything in my MyFitnessPal, right? I just need to snap a photo, this, chicken that I'm eating next to my fist, and put that right into SugarWOD, and you get a point based off of that. So we'll run 3 weeks kind of like that. There will be other little random fun ways to get points in there too. We're going to pick some fun, creative winners each week. And then at the end, there's going to be a couple cash prize winners, sort of based off how many people sign up, right?
Nice.
There's a little fee to sign up this year because we wanted to, number one, incentivize people to actually finish out the challenge.
Yeah.
Which when you put a little money towards it, you're more willing to stay committed because I paid for this, right? But number two, now we have money in the pot to people who can execute well, right? We're not talking about perfection. We talked about that last week. Talking about consistency, building good habits. So that's what that nutrition challenge will be all about. And we'll put it up on the whiteboard. We'll blast it out. It's going to start not this coming Saturday, not January 3rd, but January 10th will be when that opens up. you want to register before that. And then the videos will start that January 10th.
Cool.
Awesome.
I think the other thing we wanted to let people know about is our commitment to goal reviews, right? So as a member at DOD, you get a goal review every quarter. Every 90 days, you can sign up for a free goal review with one of our coaches. And to be honest, like not a lot of people take us up on this, right? And
not yet.
It's a bit of a bummer. Because we think it's super helpful. We think that we can sit down, have a 15, 20-minute conversation about your goals, what it is that you're trying to achieve. Is it weight loss? Is it strength gain? Is it better gymnastics? You're trying to get your first strict pull-up, whatever it is. Talk to a coach about it, and the coach can help you build a plan. Every 90 days, check in. What are your goals? How are things going? What do you need help with? I've had goal reviews that are 5 minutes, right? And sometimes that's all it takes. Other times it can take the full 30-minute session. We're going to have more availability in the goal review calendar. We'll have links sent out. So, schedule that time for yourself to sit down with a coach. And we debated a little bit before the show if we should let people know about a special cool new toy that we have that we're going to use during goal reviews. What do you think? Should we tell them?
Yes.
All right.
Tell them.
All right.
I'm always like, get
so
the
we
information.
so we have a cool new toy. It's called an InBody scanner. No sponsorship, but shout out to InBody. And the InBody scanner, helps you understand what your body fat percentage is, how much skeletal muscle mass you have, as well as things like your weight. Right. But the weight is not the only metric, right? And so there's some really interesting data that you can get from an InBody scanner. So what we're going to start doing is offering a free InBody scan with every goal review session. So sign up, sit down, talk to a coach about your goals, get your InBody scan, check in on your progress. You'll have a little line graph that'll show you are you up or down in these various areas. So it's a really useful tool. CrossFit is all about being measurable, right? What's your 1 rep max back squat? What's your 1 mile run time, right? These measurables that we have, the InBody scanner should help us do that as well with our body composition.
Exactly. So. And I think the one thing that's hard with a lot of people doing CrossFit is that they might not see the scale at home change a lot because maybe they're losing body fat, but they're gaining muscle. And so sometimes that kind of equalizes out or whatever. And so it's hard. We're going to touch on this a little bit later.
Good tease.
It's crazy,
Is that
right?
coming up?
Yeah. But sometimes that's hard and confusing. And so it's a big reason why we got a tool like this so we can show people, no, your body is actually changing a lot, even if the scale at home looks the same or, minimally changed.
Right on.
And other things like hydration. We found out the other day, Jim is very well hydrated. And just general health trends. We want to see some general trends, and a coach can explain that to you when you get that scan done. But it's not always about how we look or what the scale says, right? And so this helps us quantify some of those things.
Cool. Yeah. So coming soon on the InBody scanner. Talk to a coach about that. All right. Well, you teed it up pretty good. Our first question touches on this idea. All right. So we have 3 member questions that were submitted. We got, 30 questions since our last podcast, if you can believe that. A lot of questions came through. And we've picked 3 of them to get into today. There's a lot of meat on the bone here, so we can dive pretty deep. We can go down a couple rabbit holes if we want to. I'm going to read off the first one, and then maybe I'm going to give you the first crack at it. Yeah. That's okay? All right, so here's our first question from one of our members, and it's got multiple parts to it, so just bear with me as I read through it. I have been at CrossFit for 3 years as a scaled athlete, usually 5 to 6 days a week, and my weight remains the same, just like we were just talking about.
Yep.
How do I tone better, increase metabolism? Do you have any habits or hacks, and any additional workouts to complement CrossFit? There's a lot there to cover.
When I saw this question, I was so fired up. I wish I could talk to every single member at our gym about this, whether scaled athlete or not. Okay, so first off, 3 years, consistent CrossFit, incredible, amazing, right? Most people can't commit to something consistently, anything for 3 years, right?
Right. So this person
Yes.
is winning.
Winning, huge, right off the bat, right
Yep.
there, right?
Yeah.
Or many people like, I do this for 2 months and I do this and I do this. And right. So huge win and consistency there. Next, I actually had this happen this morning when I was coaching. I want us to start restructuring as a gym, but I scaled. We no longer have that in our verbiage as a gym, right? I want to say this now as the head coach of CrossFit Doors of Daring. You did the workout in an appropriate manner for you. Was it challenging? Was it high intensity? Did you walk out of here a better athlete, person, right? Then check mark. That's actually what we prescribe every day.
That's right. Yeah.
That's actually what we prescribe. So I want this person to not feel bad about being a scaled athlete, right? At all. I want you to be proud of all the areas you have grown. And I'm sure there have been many, which we can go down that rabbit hole too. So that's incredible, right? I would say a better goal as far as like the scaling goes, right? And RX and all that stuff. Not saying that it's not a good goal to be RX. That's cool, right? That's awesome. But a better goal is did I bring high intensity? Did I challenge myself in every workout I went to the gym this week, right? And that can be varying levels, but we have to at least 3 times a week, like we talked about last time, right? Bring high intensity, high challenge to ourselves. And I will say that's one area where I feel like maybe this person, and I don't know who this is, right? But maybe this person could gain a lot of growth from, especially if they have aesthetic goals, or weight loss goals or whatever, right? Sometimes all of us, RX or scaled athletes, kind of pigeonhole ourselves into these are the dumbbells I use. I always use these dumbbells. I'm never changing that up, right? Or this is the gymnastics scale or the gymnastics movement I do always, right? Or I can never hit the machine calories on the board. So I'm going to pick the time option. I'm going to be on the machine for 1 minute, but I'm just kind of coasting for a minute because I know I'm not going to get the calories anyway. So whatever, right? And if you are having a rough day, if you're tired, whatever, okay, awesome,
sure.
right? Yeah. But if that has become how you approach 90% of the workouts in here, we have plateaued and we are no longer going to see results, right? Especially after our kind of beginner jump in results. So something I'm really passionate about, no matter what level you are, I don't care if you're Anna Toomey who's training for the games or you're Juju who kicked Jim's butt in the workout today, right? I told him, you better use the 150 sandbag today. You have no business using the 100 because that wouldn't be challenging enough for him, right? Mm-hmm. But there might be an athlete that is like, I got to use the 50 today. Awesome, right? And we just have to make those decisions on an individual level. What challenges me? What makes me uncomfortable today? How am I going to get my heart rate up high today, right? What feels heavy for me today? And I'm going to use an example. I asked permission. She said I could. Nikki Ham, I am so in love with her attitude, her presence. Mm-hmm. She won an award this year, Best Attitude, actually, for us at the end of the year. But I would say that when Nikki came in here, right, all the things we're talking about here, being stagnant, weight loss, all this stuff, those were all parts of what she wanted to see in her CrossFit transformation, right? What Nikki did so well. Day one, she came in here, sit-ups were hard. She, she really struggled to do a modified pull-up. She couldn't really do full burpees. And even the half burpees were a challenge, Now, if you know her, she does all of those things after, 2 years of being CrossFit. But the reason why, and I think she told me she lost like 50 pounds or something like that, wow. Which is kind of beside the fact, right? But she's much more capable human being now in all of life, right? All her health measures are better. And the reason why she was able to do that is because she didn't just say, I can't do pull-ups. I'll never be able to do pull-ups. Whatever, right? She couldn't do pull-ups that day, but she did what I gave her scaled wise. And then the couple months later, she did something a little bit harder. And a couple months later, she did something a little bit harder. And then she tried to a kipping pull-up and she couldn't do it. But she tried it again and again and again every single day, right? She signed up for a CrossFit competition in the scaled division, right? And didn't care how she finished, but she did it because it was challenging.
And has a ton of fun doing it.
And has a ton of fun. And she told me the other day, she's like, I pick something in the workout every day that I want to try to do RX. Just one thing.
That's
right?
it.
Just one thing.
Yep.
Not all the other things. She scales and modifies the other things. But one thing, I'm going to burn myself down trying to do that one. Today, she did the 400-meter runs, right? Huge for her. Huge. But it would have been so easy for her to just be like, I'm not a runner. I can't do that. She comes to Run Club to work on it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not, burpees are super hard for me because I just had a baby and blah, blah, blah. Nope. She picks workouts where she does full burpees, full box jumps, whatever it is. And that's how she's been able to see such good progress. So the magic of CrossFit is the variety of movements, is the functional movements, but it must also be high intensity.
Right.
And that's relative to you. But if you can take a good look at yourself and be like, man, I kind of coast. I kind of go at this 50%, maybe 60%, but I never really tap into 90% where I'm just like, duh, after the workout, you're not going to see the beauty and the magic of what we do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so with you on everything you said. And like this idea that you have to bring intensity to the workout to see the results. I mean, that's CrossFit. L1, L2, L3, L4. Intensity drives results.
Yes.
And if you're a scaled athlete and you identify as a scaled athlete, and for you that means that every time I see pull-ups, I do ring rows.
Yeah.
Every time I see push-ups, I'm doing them from my knees. If you've got an every time kind of thing, you need to really look at that. Look in the mirror and say, how can I make that harder for me? I've been doing that for 6 months, a year. How can I plus up the intensity on that movement, that thing that's challenging for me? It doesn't matter what scaled says on the board. It doesn't matter what RX says on the board. No. A great example that I like to use, especially now in the last couple of years, is, with men, often the 50-pound dumbbell is the prescribed, weight for men, 50. And the scaled is 35. Yeah. Right? Well, there's a super Walmart between those two, right? 15 pounds is a lot, especially if you're using two. Now, 35 happens to be the prescribed dumbbell for ladies, right? And so for two very good reasons, a lot of times I'd rather see most men grab the 40s or the 45s. Right? One, they're going to push themselves harder than with a 35. And two, they're leaving the 35s for the ladies, right? Because we want more ladies to push themselves with the 35.
And two things, giving you the freedom. If you bonk out on the second round, you're like, I was trying the 40s today for the first time. Man, I am proud of you, right? That's okay. We gained knowledge on where we're at. We pushed ourselves. We stepped outside the comfort zone, right? If your times are slower, awesome, right? Because we had that higher weight in there. That's awesome. If your times are slower because you're pushing yourself on something that you need to develop and work on, that's great. But the other comment I wanted to make about times is look at your times. If you're scaled and you're in here and you're doing the same movements over and over again, and you're always at the bottom end of the target time. Well, that should be a signal to you. You're doing things too fast.
Right? You should be pushing the intensity, the reps, the weight, the difficulty of the movements up so that you're closer to the top end of the target time frame, even getting close to the cap for these movements that are challenging for you. If you're picking movements that help you get near the bottom of that time frame or even lower than that time frame, then you're not bringing the intensity you need to the workout, right? And that's what's key to making progress, to seeing results, is bringing relative intensity, high intensity. Now, one other thing I just want to make sure we touch on is high intensity doesn't mean maximum intensity, right? You do not need to come in here and burn it down and crush yourself 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Right.
And you should not.
And oh, by the way, we have members that do this, right? We know who you are. Okay. Like, I
also am an addict that is in remission.
Right. But we all need to learn to regulate that a little bit. And I am on that list. Like I was actually a couple of years ago, I was much worse at this. I'm getting better at it, but regulating your intensity within this range of it's high intensity. Right? And some people say anything above 70% effort is high intensity, whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't have to be, I'm dead, I can't move for 3 minutes after the workout. Every single day you're in here, you're going to really struggle to recover.
It's going to work in the backwards if we're doing it really that way. Yeah.
But you need to challenge yourself, especially if you're a scaled athlete who has reached a plateau, right? And you know that you want to achieve more with your fitness. So be thinking about how to increase the intensity.
And little just PSA too to my RX athletes out there, right? You also can plateau.
Oh yeah.
And it's not, I think some of us just get focused on winning the workout. And, you know, for whatever reason, I'm so thankful my shift has become, it's not necessarily about winning the workout. It's about making me better today, right? And so there might be workouts where I put a heavier load on the barbell, or I pick up a heavier dumbbell or heavier kettlebell, because I know strength-wise, what's up there is not necessarily super challenging. I'm probably modifying the gymnastics, right? Because that's typically very challenging for me. But that's just an example of looking at the workout and, you know, scaling, modifying intensity to where you need to be as an athlete. So if that's you, we're now coming in here, you've been RX for a long time, you can do all the RX movement, blah, 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 and now your only focus is beating so-and-so or whatever, right? We need to change that again, because you will also see a plateau. Yeah. You will also see you're not gaining muscle like you used to, you're not gaining skills. You need to be finding what is intense and challenging, et cetera, for you.
Yeah. And like we talked about earlier, the open is coming.
The open is coming.
Right? So if you're not challenging yourself, when the open gets here, you will run into something
boring if you don't.
You'll run into something that you don't expect.
Yeah. Okay. So all
Anything
the stuff
more on that?
Well, all the stuff we already talked about I truly believe if you're doing that well, start to shift a weight loss goal, right? If you're doing all of that really well, bringing high intensity, all that stuff, it will help a weight loss goal. But I did want to touch on a couple other things. You don't always have to have a weight loss goal, right? That's really realistic for a lot of people. I currently have a little bit of weight loss goal coming back from postpartum, or in my postpartum phase. But I want people, and this is why we're really pushing goal reviews, right? To look at what other goals we can have that are measurable, right? So it's not just the weight on the scale, although that can be part of it, right? But it can be measurables as performance in here. It could be measurables like you were talking about, checkups earlier, blood pressure, cholesterol, those sorts of things. And I would argue that if someone's been doing CrossFit consistently for 3 years, all of those measurables are far greater than they were 3 years ago, right? Or
much
are
healthier
just
human being.
You're definitely a healthier human being. And we're not talking, there's no like you would have been the same person if you hadn't done CrossFit, right? When I started, if I started at whatever weight, and if I wasn't doing CrossFit, I would still be at that weight. We know statistically that's a lie. Based on research, we know that person would have at least probably in a sedentary lifestyle been gaining 5 pounds-ish a year, right?
Yeah, maybe a little less, but
Okay, maybe a little
5
bit
to
less.
6 pounds over that 3 years for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For years. And then we look at how that affects other health markers, right? So the reality is your weight might still be the same or whatever, but you're actually,
It's a win.
yes, you're actually winning with that, because you would have been maybe heavier. Your blood pressure would have been worse. Your cholesterol, your T levels might have been lower, whatever you've actually been beating that all along. So that's another win, right?
Yeah.
But hopefully if you can tweak some of the things that we talked about, and my absolute answer is, absolutely come talk to a coach, do your goal review so we can make this really specific to you. That's really what we want to do, is have a conversation with you and help you fine tune that, especially if you're in this category. Let's get you some big wins,
Yeah, and there's this hidden question in here too, like sort of, in the middle about how do you tone better, right? And so when I see that,
extra work.
I hear a little aesthetic goal there that's sort of tied into the weight loss goal. Like, a lot of people associate weight loss with being leaner and, being more toned. Yeah. So we have this fly flying around here. Like, it's a perfect day for that. The doors were open, we were running, and so here we are. That's real life, folks. That's the way it is. But like, I think this aesthetic goal is very common.
Yeah.
It's very common. A lot of our members just like they want to look leaner, they want to look better naked.
I wanna look
that's
better
a thing,
naked.
right?
Yes.
And I think one of the realities that we talked about last time is you're in here 1 hour a day. Right. And if you're
3 to 6
consistent,
days a week.
5 days a week, this person said 5 to 6 days a week. Okay, that's cool. That's 5 hours a week. Right. I'm not going to do the math real quick, but there's 23 other hours in every day. Yeah. There's a lot of other hours that you're not here. And so what does that look like? Yeah. Right. And we talked a lot last time about nutrition. We talked about sleep, general recovery. Those things are all part of it. Hydration. And they impact not only how you can bring intensity in here during your workouts, but your calories in absolutely impact your ability to stay lean, right? Yeah. And so for a lot of people,
that's what's going to make you look toned, right?
Yeah.
You have to build muscle mass. I don't care how lean you are. You're never going to have six pack until your abdominals are strong, right? Toned arms. Everyone's like, I don't want this, right? And it's like, well, we need to strengthen those muscles. We can't just lose everything. Yeah. But to your point on nutrition, that's the primary factor when it comes to kind of looking a sort of way that we want to look for many of us. Yeah.
And that's the hard reality for a lot of people is, the workouts aren't the only thing that are going to get you to your aesthetic goals.
It's a huge piece.
Yeah. They aren't the only thing. So we shouldn't overly focus on it.
There was another part in here about metabolism, increased metabolism. And I know this is like super trendy right now, like this is going to wreck my metabolism. This is going to make it better, right? There's a lot of data. And I think maybe we'll mention this podcast, a different podcast later as well. So we'll share a little bit of good resources for you guys, but there's a lot of data that shows like you're not going to hack your metabolism, right? Yeah. And for older people, your metabolism is not ruined. If you diet it a certain way or whatever, your metabolism is not ruined. There are different ways that your body processes nutrients, but it's never ruined or it's never whatever. Let's keep it as simple as calories in, what are we eating, and then calories that we're burning through daily life and our exercise, right? For 99% of people, it is as simple as that. It's like any habits or hacks, right? The habit and hack is come to CrossFit, which you've been doing. You've been winning that, right? Nail your nutrition, the basics that we talked about last time. Try to get 7 or 8 hours of sleep every night. Drink some water. That's the habit and hack right there. 100%. If you can do that well, because I think we said we're still working on that, right? The sleep part of it's challenging for me right now. Yeah. Nutrition with 3 kids, all that stuff, right? Those are the hacks.
Yeah.
Do that.
And you're never done, right?
Yeah. And in the nutrition challenge, we're going to talk about how can you meal prep to make things easier and more simple for you. And those could be some hacks, right?
Yeah.
But it's not like some biomeasurable, take this supplement, blah, blah, blah hack,
No.
No.
And it's never one thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's a combination of things, and
Yep.
you know,
And it
your
might take
workouts are just
time,
one.
which no one wants to hear, right? Whoever asked this question, if they hear our feedback and they're okay, I'm going to ramp up intensity in some of my workouts. I'm going to change some things about my nutrition. It's still going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight, but
that's the recipe.
yeah.
right
And
there.
clearly they've shown they can be consistent. So, you know, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right. I think we crushed that one.
I think, man, I'm so
if you ask me.
love that question.
Anything more on that, or are we good?
Great job, whoever
You got
asked
it?
that question.
Yeah,
You
it's a
rock.
good question. Very good question. All right, so our second question comes from one of our members. It says that research says that CrossFit is a glucose-based activity. I have
Most activities are.
This person says I have low glucose levels and recovery/inflammation take a toll daily after workouts.
Yeah.
Any recommendations on mitigating? And so when you and I talked about this to try to prep a little bit, we said, hey, let's maybe talk about the CrossFit, definition of energy systems and sort of how, CrossFit defines the different energy systems and how carbs are used within those energy systems. If you want, maybe I'll just start and lay out the framework and we can bounce back and forth a little bit. So look, CrossFit, when they define the energy systems, there's a lot of technical jargon here, so I'm just going to keep it super brief. The first pathway that CrossFit talks about is called the phosphagen pathway, and this is really for super short efforts, like super short, and I mean less than 10 seconds.
It's like, how are we using energy and oxygen, et cetera, right, to accomplish the work? That's what we're talking about here.
That's what a pathway is.
Exactly.
And so the short and heavy pathway is the phosphagen pathway. And this is your 1 rep max lift, like a big heavy power clean, a very short sprint, If it's less than 10 seconds, it's going to have to be less than 100 meters for most of us. Yeah.
Or like a bike sprint or a
box jumps or something like that, right? So super short. Now, in this pathway, your body actually doesn't use carbs. You don't use carbs. You're using energy that's already stored in your muscles and your cells. So you're not actually using carbs during this phosphagen, 1 rep max, quick burst kind of movement.
The only thing on that is you have to have it stored in your muscle fibers, right? So if you're on
Can't
a huge
be on a
fast,
48-hour fast.
or whatever, right? It's going to affect this, but otherwise, yes.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
So then the second pathway is this glycolytic pathway, right? So glycolytic is how most of CrossFit operates in this sort of short workout, short bursts
12-minute
of energy.
AMRAP, something in that range. Yeah.
Thrusters, pull-ups, wall balls, all these things they really use the glycolytic pathway. And this is why a lot of people say that CrossFit is a glucose related exercise system, because a lot of the workouts burn carbs. Like you need carbs to really engage in those types of movements at the volume and the length of the workout that we're talking about. So in terms of the glycolytic energy system, you need carbs. And if you don't, what happens, right? You slow down.
What happened to me this morning? I got busy and forgot to have my pre-workout carbs, like we freaking talked about last podcast. And at the end, I was like, why do I feel like garbage?
You bonked, right?
Yeah, I bonked. And it was, I didn't have carbohydrates. I didn't have calories in my body.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
And so the third pathway is really for longer efforts. And so we think about this for long AMRAPs, a 40-minute AMRAP, a Murph, heaven forbid, a high rocks type of event, right? A very, very long chipper conditioning piece. And this is where your body is not only using carbs, but it's also using fat, right, at the same time.
We probably run out of those immediate carb sources unless we have another source, a gel, Coach Shake's favorite apple juice or something like that, right?
Yep.
And now we're relying on those fat sources, Yeah.
So it's true that a lot of CrossFit involves glucose, right? It involves your body using carbs as an energy source in the middle of it. But it's also true that you're not going to burn through the available glucose in your system typically within a 1 hour class.
Yeah.
right? Unless, to your point before, like if you come in fully fasted,
I was.
right, that can be troublesome, right? You got to eat something.
I last ate at like 7 p.m. the night
Wow.
before, and then here it was 9 a.m. and I'm doing 28 minutes of work.
That hurts.
Not wise.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah.
So,
but on an average, 15-minute EMOM or whatever we have, right? You're not going to burn through what you've eaten throughout the day for the average person.
Right, right. But you do have to be mindful if you're an early morning person,
5 a.m.
you work out early in the morning.
Yeah.
You've got to be thoughtful about when did I last have some carbs or any sort of calories, really. And we talked about that a little bit on our last episode, thinking about timing food if you're an early morning person like I am. How do you get food in your... So when you think about sort of a pre-workout meal, what do you think about in terms of energy, energy source and timing? How do you think about that?
Yeah. So I think about, obviously we need to get some good carbohydrates in our system. I think that's the most important before. People can talk about protein as well. I think that's, more important kind of after a workout. But for me, and I know for you too, that looks like an apple or a banana, depending on your stomach and your tolerance too. And just, you'll start to learn yourself. That could also look like some oats or something like that, especially if it's a little bit longer of a workout. Those might hold you over a little bit longer. I can handle that really well. I could eat that standing here at the whiteboard, right? Lance, my husband could never do that. He's got to eat like an hour and a half before he's going to feel sick to his stomach. So
if he eats right before,
if he eats right before. Yeah. So you'll kind of find out what works for you, but some sort of carbohydrates. And I love fruit because you're also getting sort of hydration and some really good, micronutrients in there with that, which is awesome. So I love fruit, but also, something like oats or like a little oat bar. But on that note, you don't need like 60 grams of carbohydrates to come in here and do a class workout, right? We're talking about like an apple has roughly 20, 25, depending on how big the apple is, grams of carbohydrates. Not that you need to measure, remember, keep it simple, but that's about the amount of carbohydrates we need probably to feel great in a workout, right? Now, if it is like an open workout, a couple years ago was like, 15 minutes or something of shuttle runs and burpee pull-ups and then a 1 rep max thruster right after it, basically, right?
Yeah.
And I remember my coach at the time was like, have some sort of glucose, right? Some sort of carbohydrate, sugar, whatever, for you to inhale right after you finish the shuttle runs and pull-ups. Yeah. Because you're emptying the tank on this and your body needs that like jolt of energy and life to go into that 1 rep max lift, because like we talked about that phosphagen pathway, you need something kind of stored up, right? You need something to use there. And so I literally just had gummy candies that are just like immediate sugar, right?
Thing.
I sat down on a box and I was like, right?
I had them right next to my lifters. I did the same thing.
Yes. But that is a specific example, right? Yeah. For the most part, for most workouts, eat an apple, fruit, whatever you like, some kind of good sugar is really what it is. Our body breaks all those carbohydrates down into sugar. We can use them as energy. That's also how our body makes transformations. So if you want your body to transform, to look a different way, but you never give it a single carbohydrate, right?
Yeah.
It's going to work through that fat on a very hard slug to try to change that, right? So those of you out there who are terrified of carbohydrates, let's erase that as well.
Yeah, because it's also, like we said, if you don't have enough carbohydrates during a workout, you're going to slow down.
Yeah.
And if you slow down, what happens? The intensity is dropping. You might feel like, man, I'm working really hard.
Yeah.
But your power output is lower, right? So you really need fuel for your workouts.
Yeah.
I'm just going back to this comment about Lance gets kind of
stomach
oogie if he eats within an hour of working out. It's and I think we talked about last time, I eat on the car ride here. Like I eat like right before.
Sometimes I'm like finishing my apple during the warm up.
Been there, done that. People have seen that.
Yeah.
I'm always eating right before.
But
Fun fact. I just want to this is totally rabbit hole. Fun fact. Today, I was getting my water before my coffee. You know, it's first thing in the morning,
Jim.
get my water before my coffee. And I don't know why, but like I saw the multivitamin bottle there and I'm like, oh, I know I need to take a multivitamin today. I might as well do that while I'm here getting a glass of water.
Yeah.
Total random
No
thought.
food in your stomach.
Total random thought. I grabbed the multivitamin, down it, and like 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh, I feel so gross.
Nothing.
Like empty stomach multivitamin, not a good idea. Like, so stupid.
So shout out to my pregnant lady.
I've only been taking a multivitamin for how long? Like, and today I decided to take one on an empty stomach, like a fool.
See, we all mess it up sometimes.
It's just
we all.
foolish.
But I think another part of this question was like, I have low glucose levels and recovery inflammation take a toll after workout. Right? There are. I would say talk to your doctor about this. Make sure that you clinically have low glucose levels. Again, that's a very small subset of the population. It's very trendy right now. Wear a glucose monitor. Now you have low glucose, blah, 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 stuff. People are making money off of that, right? We know that in the general population, that's not an issue. But if this truly is you, right, then I want you to be really good about getting those carbohydrates before a workout. Maybe like we had a longer piece today. It was 12 minutes, 4-minute rest, 12 minutes, right? You might be someone who has to, in that 4-minute rest,
have a sports drink.
Or like fruit, a couple mango slices or whatever. That's Lance's actually can, recovery with that. So something like that might be good for you, but small doses, right? Yeah. We don't need a ton of that, and trust that. Yes, it is a glucose-driven activity, as arguably many, almost all things are. Yeah, all things are. But trust that we all have fat stores on our body, and your body can also use those to drive movement, right? Yeah. And so you're not going to die if you have low glucose after a workout. Most of us will probably all have lower glucose after a workout.
Sure.
That's what we're in here to do. Use our energy and challenge our body to make changes. And that's what we're doing. So, if you really have an issue, maybe you could add in a little like intra workout carbohydrate, like even maybe 10 grams or something might work.
Especially if you struggle to eat before.
Yes,
right?
if you struggle
like
to
Lance
eat before.
Does,
yeah. But yeah. And then on the recovery inflammation, maybe that with the post-workout too. Just make sure you're not doing your workout, rushing off to work. Now it's been 7 hours. You haven't done anything, right?
Got to eat something.
Yeah. And I would say just well-rounded. Many people are like, oh, you need this many grams. No, just well-rounded. Like have some carbohydrates, some protein. I think for most people, 20 grams of protein. So our 20 or 30, our fistful that we talked about is great. And some good fat there too, right? Because that's going to help our joints and our bones and our cognitive health and all these things. We do need fat to run our bodies well. So don't, like, oh, I don't eat fat within this many hours of my workout. Unless you're an Olympian and you have that level of specific goals, don't stress about that kind of stuff.
Don't worry about that.
Eat a well-rounded meal within a couple hours of your workout.
Yeah. Before and after makes a lot of sense. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
All right. Anything more on that we wanted to cover?
I just want to say, kind of rabbit trail too. This is part of what separates CrossFit from any other way of training that is out there for the general public right now, right? The fact that CrossFit describes these pathways, intentionally programs to hit each of these pathways in multiple ways throughout the week, throughout the month, whatever, and desires to create well-rounded athletes and humans who can tackle these workouts in these different pathways. You're not getting that at most other gyms where you go, right? Or most other philosophies, methodologies of training. That's one of the things that drew me to CrossFit from the beginning as a very experienced athlete, right? Who did like weightlifting, cardio separate, blah, 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 right? To, if you look at many other methodologies, CrossFit is the only one doing this research, putting this out to their coaches, putting it in the methodology every day. And I think that's part of what makes CrossFit freaking incredible, right? Yeah. I just wanted to throw that in there, right? Yeah. It's what arguably I think prepares people for whatever they want to do in the best way possible.
Right. These pathways are part of how CrossFit defines fitness.
Yeah.
Right. They use these pathways to as one of the models for describing what is
You've
fitness.
taken your level 1 as a coach. Like you got to know these, and so
that's why we nerded out. Right.
Yeah. That's part of what makes
part of the methodology.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Our last question is another fun one, another hot topic, social media, and really in our community, even we have folks dealing with this and talking about this, and I'll just read it out. So, any tips on perimenopause and female conditioning? What should we be aware of? How to best leverage CrossFit during this phase of life? Hormone changes, weight gain, lower stamina, increased fatigue, etc. And I'm just paraphrasing a little bit, but I think this person is associating that laundry list of things with going through menopause.
Yeah.
Man. You want to start?
Yeah, I'll tee it off. Okay, so first of all, I kind of brought this podcast up earlier. You actually sent it to Erica and I as mandatory listening. You gave us homework. I have gone through half of it. I'm halfway through my mandatory homework.
Almost there.
Yeah. But it's the Varied Not Random podcast, episode 243, and it's with E.C. Sinkowski. She's a really great nutrition coach in the space. I know Coach Jake, who we have here, aligns with a lot of what she teaches. And so you're getting a small dose of that kind of if you do nutrition here. But that podcast is really, 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 it goes deep, deep into the weeds, which is not our goal here today. But if this is super important to you and this is where you are in your life right now, look that up. Go deep in the weeds. And then you can really rabbit hole from there if you want, because they give other stuff too. But some sort of like on a bigger kind of level. All right. We talked about this earlier. If you go to the mall or to the airport's like my favorite, right? Yeah. And you look at other people who are probably going through menopause or these life changes and whatever, and we compare the menopausal women or perimenopausal or postmenopausal women in our gym with people who are doing nothing, right? Man, I could brag on those ladies all day long. Okay.
Obvious difference.
Obvious difference. And you tell me how many of those women, right, can put 150 pounds on their back, or even less than that, 100 pounds on their back and back squat it a couple times, right? How many of them have the bone density, have the muscle capacity, have the cardiovascular capacity to do a challenge like that, or make it through a 10-minute piece with even box step overs and a light dumbbell and single unders, right? And our women don't give themselves enough credit for that. So, first off, that's just amazing, right? Second off, though, and I know she won't mind because I'm going to use your wife as an example, right? We've been doing PT for a long time, and one of her main goals has been to combat some of these things that she has experienced through this same sort of time in her life. And it's been so cool to hear her feedback based off of check-ins with her doctor on her measurable, I think cholesterol. We had a big win about a year ago. Now it's symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. And some of these things that she's really combating with strength training, right? The biggest thing the research is showing that helps level out our hormones, that helps us to avoid osteoporosis or osteopenia is strength training, right? And I would argue let's slap some creatine in there too, because there's some really good research on that, right? But if we want to handle the changes that are happening in our body, put it to work. Put it to work. And I know I love you grannies, right? But your granny might tell you, you need to sit down. You need to rest. You need to whatever. It's like anytime a female goes through bodily changes, pregnancy, whatever, everyone wants to tell us just to sit on our butt and do nothing. That's the worst thing you could do unless you're literally on bed rest, right? Yeah. So actually what you need to do is put your body to work.
Keep moving.
Yes. Yeah. Keep moving. Put your body to work. And like I said, you can go down into the weeds with the data and the research on that, but I guarantee you it is out there. Put load on your body.
And not just a weight vest and walking.
No.
Right?
Which is better.
It's so chic right now. Like you should just wear a weight vest and walk. Right?
Jim,
That's all you should
I posted that
do.
on my stories the other day, right? That's not enough. That it's great. It gets you off the couch, but it's not enough. Yeah. And I had so many women reach out to me like, well, I'm doing it because of this or I'm doing it because of that, right? And some of them are good. It's like, my joints hurt, whatever, right? You know what would also make your joints feel better is if you came in here and moved more than just the weight vest, right? Eventually your muscles would get stronger. You know what takes tension off your joints and your ligaments? Strong muscles, right? Yeah. I'm trying to tell my dad that. He has knee problems. He's 75. I'm like, Dad, you don't need a knee replacement. You need strong quads, right? And so I just can't emphasize that enough. And we have a lot of women in here who are examples of that. Now, you know, arguably, and Erica could speak to this too, there's nothing that we have that'll completely take away your hot flashes. No. Right? There's nothing. Unfortunately, there's no prescription, no amount of CrossFit workouts, right? It's just part of human life that we're going to go through some of those changes and they're not super fun. And nothing is going to make your body look like it did when you were 20, unfortunately, right? But I would, as a mother, a human, a woman, right? I would beg you to, number one, give your body credit for what it's already doing, what it is going through. Give it grace as it's going through this period. I know that's harder. That's easier said than done, right? I'm going through a lot of changes right now myself. But know that this is not forever. It is a short period of time, right? And your body is doing a ton right now. And you can still look yourself in the mirror and be darn proud of what you see because of all the things that you do. And because if you're working on nutrition and you're coming in here and you're bringing new intensity, even in menopause and post-menopause, you are still going to see changes, right? It's not that an awesome looking waistline is out of your future forever. That's a lie that media likes to tell you so they can sell you some waist cinching trainer or something. You come in here, do all the things we already talked about, and you can absolutely get to a place where you feel great and look great. And I know Erica can attest to that too. She's like, Court, my clothes are fitting better. I love the way I look and feel, and it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
And some of it too, you mentioned giving yourself grace is just like accepting the fact that, you know, there are going to be days that are harder. Yeah. Again, hot flashes are a thing. Yeah. And, you know, just like any other sort of external stressor, right? They can impact the other parts of your life, which then impact your ability to come in and bring intensity to the workout. If you're up half the night with hot flashes, you're not sleeping well. Yeah. If you're not sleeping well, you can't train as hard, right? So that's a fact of life. It doesn't mean, well, menopause is making changes to the way my body burns fuel and I need to only walk with a weighted vest. Like, that's silly, right? You're up half the night with hot flashes. Yeah. You're not sleeping well. Your workouts are going to be different on days like that. Yeah. But do what you can, accept the days that are better, keep working through it, and realize that it's a phase of life. And when it ends and you stop going through hot flashes, you'll be able to get back to the level of intensity that you brought before. On that same podcast, that very not random podcast with Boz and Pat Sherwood and E.C. Sinkowski, you know, they talk a lot about that those stressors they're real for women who are going through menopause. They're real. That, you know, hot flashes, your body feels like it's on fire for 2 minutes at a time, and you can get 10, 15, 20 of them in a day. And your ability to just manage your stress level during that, right, alone is a problem, let alone the sleep issues. Yeah. And EC, you know, as a woman, actually brought in the fact that, you know, women during menopause are not the only people that have these struggles. No. Right? This happens to men too. Yes. Right? And men, you know, menopause is not really a thing. But you know, a man who's going through a very stressful period in his life, maybe he's got newborn twins at home, you know, and they're keeping both him and his wife up at night. Yeah. You know, that's going to impact his training. Yeah. Right? And so this is something that CrossFit...
You lost your job or something like that.
Yeah, this is something that CrossFit talks about a lot, that we all need the same thing, just in varying degrees, right? And so women going through menopause need to keep training. They need to
Yes.
keep lifting weights, moving their bodies with intensity. Same with men, with young children. Same with men who are traveling a lot, right? We all need the same things, and we need to keep pursuing these fitness goals, even during difficult phases of our lives. And we have to give ourselves grace that it's not always going to be perfect. But, when you build the wall, you lay down bricks one at a time, and every once in a while, one of them is going to be an ugly looking, kind of beat up little brick.
Wonky,
but
I
it's
got
still
some wonky bricks in
but
my
it's
wall.
still a brick, right?
Yeah, it's still a brick.
And Pat Sherwood talks about this metaphor a lot, right? Every time you come to the gym and you bring your best, you bring intensity, you hit the stimulus of the workout, you scale appropriately, you give somebody a high five and you walk out, that's a brick in the wall.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always have to be perfect.
Yes.
And I think menopause is just another one of those times in your life where you're just going to have to accept some of those rows might have more imperfect bricks.
But
it's
there
okay.
are still great rows to come.
They're very important.
Right. And we opened up with the open season. If you watch some of these age group women who are, doing the quarterfinals, semifinals, games, right? They are capable of incredible things, right? They are not capable of what open age 18 to 35-year-old athletes are capable of for the most part, right? So we need to be real with that our capabilities and our things, right, are going to change.
That's
and
a steady decline.
Yes, and that's okay.
Right? It's okay.
That's okay. That's a fact of life. But they are capable of incredible things. And even if you hear them get interviewed or something, it's so encouraging. And man, those are like my favorite people to listen to talk, right? Because their measurables of success are not just standing on the podium championship, right? It's like my grandkids got to see me train for this and do it. That's, if you guys want to know my top CrossFit goal, that's actually it right there, that my grandkids get to see me do this. And they're like, Grandma's crazy. She does this stuff. I can't wait. But I just want to encourage the women. Some of it is, let's change our mindset. And again, it's not just for menopause. Actually, this is for men and women, right? I'm coming back from having a baby. Let's change my mindset, Court. You do not have to have a freaking six pack and all this stuff to be darn proud of yourself, right? And, just on like the men's side of things, right? You might have been a whatever athlete in the past, right? That doesn't mean what you're doing right now is any less valuable, any less important, like let's be aware of how we're defining successes and why we're happy with our accomplishments and stuff.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Anything more on that, on menopause in general, training through and around?
Yeah. No, I think if you have any more questions on that topic, Jim, I know you're really into a lot of these podcasts and articles and stuff like that. I'm currently doing a lot of studying for my L3 exam. So, feel free to pick our brains and we'll point you to where you can really dig down in there. But
there's a lot of good resources out there.
Yeah,
and like we talked about last time, there's a lot of garbage out there.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people preying on people's fears and worries and people going through difficult times. So you just have to be careful of that too.
And this is another reason why goal reviews are so important, right? Because we can use that time in a goal review to structure your workouts in here really wisely. A lot of what I do with Erica in our sessions is less like this bunny rabbit cardio cycle stuff and a lot more strength driven, which she sometimes hates me for, but I know that's what's really good for her. Yeah. So what I would tell people in a class setting, if you're in this category, right, is like maybe the one thing you try to RX or you try to challenge yourself in the workout is the strength piece while you're going through this, right? The strength piece might be a little bit more important than the cardio piece.
Hanging on to that muscle mass. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Like, cause you're trying to hang on to muscle mass and bone density. And that's so important, right? That doesn't have to be for everyone, but that is a good kind of blanket statement. But come to goal reviews and we'll help you kind of fine tune. How can I make this, what's on the whiteboard, work for me the best?
Yeah.
Right. And we forgot to tee up next time. We're really hoping we're gonna find someone, schedule it to get a member in here to share their story with you. We kind of decided that really that's what we want to do.
Interview style.
Yeah, interview style with a member, and just kind of spotlight the magic and the beauty that does happen here, the struggles and the wins,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And one last thing, Jim, I know we didn't talk about this, but I gotta say it, right? A lot of people have asked me about the programming lately, which I'm excited
all right.
about because our members care. And so what you're going to see, we have a new cycle coming up. We finished our last one at the end of the year. Through the holidays, we had what we would kind of call a deload, but we still had some hard workouts in there and some baseline type stuff. But coming up in the new year, you're going to see a new cycle kick off that will take us all the way up until the open. We are going to post a link for you that'll take you to a Canva document that details out, hey, what are we doing strength wise? How are we going to be working towards gymnastic skills? What is my, how am I going to gain aerobic capacity through this cycle? Really lays that out for you, even with days like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What will those kind of look like? So you guys can plan your training a little bit if you want to that way. And you can kind of learn the whys behind what we have with our training. Our hope is that it really prepares you for the open, but even broader picture than that for general life, that we have a lot of time for good teaching in class so we can start making some good gymnastics, strength, whatever it is, wins and growth with these areas. Not just like I show up, I do it, but a lot of good teaching and a little bit more time for recovery protocols and that kind of stuff. So those are the hopes that we have going into the open. I think you guys will really, really love it, but keep bringing that feedback. I love that. And I'm an open book as to why what we think we do here is the best for all of our members.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got that in.
Yeah.
I'm glad. We've had a lot of questions about it. So that's good.
Yeah. It's been awesome.
So look, like our podcast, if you can, and let us know if you have thoughts or you have questions. We've gotten a lot of questions in the box up at the front. That's great. Send questions to us through the email or comments on the podcast. This is for you.
Yeah.
We're doing this for you. And we want to hear if it's working for you and how to make it better.
And let us know if you like Jim's new glasses. And we're out. Nice.